Hey lady, welcome to the Postpartum on Purpose podcast. If we haven't met, my name is Anne Marie. I'm wife to James and mom to 5 beautiful kids ages 9 and under with 1 miscarried baby. Here we see postpartum all the way from birth to the first year of life as a time of grit, growth, and grace. This is episode 76. Hi lady, I hope you're well. Let's jump right in with free things this week. If you've been around a minute, you know that free things is mental shorthand for keeping track of just some of the many things we have to be grateful for. And then also a gentle reminder that a meaningful, beautiful, rich life is available to all of us, regardless of how much money is in our budget and how many children or family members we have. The free thing for this week is kind of fun. I received a Christmas check, even though as I record this, at time of recording, it's January 21st of 2026, that had been mailed by my great aunt and uncle to our old address, which is a little bit cute because we moved 8.5 years ago. But I'll tell you, it was really a gift. It was really kind of them no matter when it arrived. But it was really a gift that after all of the dust has settled, so to speak, on the Christmas season, that there was this surprise that arrived in the mail just yesterday. I really appreciated that. And then the one small change, so you know one small change too, is another way to track a metric, if you will, the little changes that occur for both our babies and ourselves over the course of postpartum. Sometimes the changes are so small or so gradual that we perhaps miss them unless we are paying attention and looking for them. I have one small change for myself and then one small change for Miss Cecilia. I guess it's more of a summary. It's not just one thing. But homegirl is now 7 months old and she is rolling both directions. She can sit up by herself. She's eating a ton of solid food already. I'm actually kind of trying to figure out weaning her a little because granted, she has 4.5 months before she can take cow's milk, but she's eating a lot of solid food. Tonight she tried Salisbury steak. Yesterday she was eating blackberries. It's like Jiminy Christmas girl, where there's a will, there is a way to gum it. That's how she's doing. She's doing great. And then for myself, this week I did my very first really high intensity, like out of breath, huffing, puffing, chugging, exercise, the workout since Cecilia was born. And honestly, since I have been pregnant, which is a very long time. And it was good. It was good. It felt good. There were good endorphins afterwards. I was really grateful for that. So 7 months postpartum, had a really good, solid workout this week. All right. Those things behind us. Let's get on to our guest episode. Today, we are going to hear from a physical therapist assistant, Sarah, and I actually came across her several months ago through the Instagram, but it's fairly local to me, and a friend was a client of hers during her pregnancy. She got pelvic floor therapy towards the end of her pregnancy, and I assume will be going postpartum as well. But I came across this lady, and I just thought, man, this is super cool that her clinic offers a cash pay option, which I love for both people who have healthcare sharing ministry participation, but not insurance, and or people who are at the beginning of the year, like we all are right now, and have not met our deductibles. And if you were to bill through insurance at a traditional clinic right now, your visits would be hundreds of dollars perhaps per visit, depending on what your insurance believes is reasonable and customary, versus a much lower rate at a cash pay clinic. So I was really grateful to learn about her in general, but I've been keeping up with her content that she's posting to her Instagram account, strongmom.sarah, SARAH with an H. And I saw a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, that she did a little video on C-section scar massage. And if you listened to the last episode, you know that I was talking about C-section scar defects. And at that time, I mentioned C-section scar defects have to do with actually the muscular layer of the uterus. So not the incision that you see at the top. But I also know that incision scar tissue can be a big thing for women as well. And when she posted this video about C-section scar massage, again, not for the deep muscle layer of the uterus, but for the incision itself, I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if she could just talk about that briefly for the podcast listenership, for the audience here? And she agreed so graciously. What she's sharing today are some notes on how to do C-section scar self-massage. Without further ado, here is Sarah. And then I'm planning next week to do another, kind of as if this were a mini series, a review of the Hinge Health app. So not Hinge dating app. No. Happily married here. Lots of children. But the Hinge Health app and how I think it can go hand in hand with in-person physical therapy during postpartum.
Hi, I am Sarah Hawking. I'm a physical therapist assistant with Maglitz Clinic. We are a cash pay and concierge type physical therapy clinic based in Chatham, Illinois. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Maglitz Clinic, spelled Magelitz Clinic, or my page is strongmom.sarah on Instagram and on Facebook. So I'm going to talk to you about 4 different ways to work on C-section scars. So for women that I see early postpartum, really in those first probably 4 to 6 weeks after having a C-section, first we have using a soft towel or a cotton ball to desensitize around the scar and incision. It can be very painful, very uncomfortable for the first few weeks after your C-section. So using something nice and soft and around the incision, not directly on the scar. So we're talking like several inches above your scar and below your scar, just doing small little gentle circles at first for just a few minutes a day, progressing into a little bit deeper tissue, deeper pressure after a week or so. So that's usually, you can start as early as around 2 weeks up to 6 weeks. And then our next is doing 2 fingertips, so index finger, middle finger from each hand, doing small little circles, massaging again around the incision. Very gentle pressure to start. I usually start this around 4 weeks up to about 8 weeks. It always just depends on the person and how they are healing. So again, the second one is using your fingertips, small circular motions, gentle pressure, again, around the incision. You can start a few inches up above, to the sides and below, and then progressively get a little bit closer to the actual incision. I usually recommend this starting at about 4 weeks up to about 8 weeks. And then our third option is doing an actual cross-friction scar massage. So this is for more well-developed and healed incision. So it's nothing's open, nothing's pussing out. You have pus, blood, things can come out of your incision. This is when everything is nice and healed. Incision is clean, cleared by the doctor. Everything is looking really good to actually get fingertips on top of the incision and do kind of like this little up and down motion all along side to side of the incision. So you're actually thinking about getting fingertips on top of the incision and getting the incision to move, not just the structures around the incision to move. A lot of people don't love this. I particularly do not like having someone touching my abdominal scars. I've had 2 surgeries on my stomach and I did not like that for a very long time. So there are other ways to go around that if you need to. Like I said, this is for when you are cleared by your doctor, your incision is looking good, nothing is leaking out, no bleeding, no pussing, nothing like that. And this is for, usually see your doctor about that 6-week postpartum mark. So 6 weeks and over is when I typically recommend that cross-friction scar massage. Again, you're starting very, very gentle. This is going to be, I guess I could use the word tender, more just in a very weird, uncomfortable feeling. So you always want to start very, very gentle and progress up to the pressure. And all of these I'm recommending for just about 3 to 5 minutes a day. And our last one is abdominal gripping. So this one you're thinking of getting on the incision and actually using your fingertips almost like a little fish hook motion and pulling and lifting that skin up. you're thinking about stretching up towards your belly button, out towards your sides. Like if you think about like where your obliques are at in your rib cage, stretching outwards towards those obliques and rib cage, then also stretching down towards your pelvis, down towards your pelvic floor. So we're getting the whole area to move surrounding your incision. This is for like 6 to 8 weeks and plus after your C-section. Some tools that can also be beneficial for women that I see that are, 6 months plus postpartum, that have a lot of scar tissue pain and a lot of uncomfortableness. There's a term like the C-section shelf, where you have like visible skin hanging over your incision. Those are all red flags that something is wrong and then something needs to be addressed by a provider, by someone, most likely a pelvic floor therapist. So for women that I see that are, this incision it's an older incision, or I saw someone last week that had a hysterectomy 30 years ago and is having pain with lifting or doing any like heavy lifting, any labor type motions. It gives her pain in her incision, so she just avoids everything. So even like 30 plus years after C-section or hysterectomy, or really any abdominal like big surgeries that you never addressed in your younger life, that is totally okay and can totally be worked on. So cupping is a big thing for like old scar tissue adhesions. So if working with my hands or fingers is not really getting it, sometimes I like to send people home with, you can just get them on Amazon, and I send a link to these little like silicone cups that you can put around your incision, on your incision, around your whole abdominal wall. There's kind of two different ways to use cups. You can use them just stagnant, where you just put them on your skin and let the cup stick there, or you can use more of a gliding technique, where you'd use some sort of lotion, like unscented lotion that you can put just kind of like along your stomach, along your incision, and you'd actually use the cups to glide into that tissue, the scar tissue, and like pretty much anywhere around your abdominal wall. So I do like using cupping as well. Let's see, what else was I going to say? So the manual techniques are not the only thing that I do, and the only thing that I recommend. I always add in some sort of breathing component to it. So I'm always assessing breath work and making sure you're not just breathing through your chest, or you're not just elevating your chest and your shoulders when you breathe, that you're using your belly, you're using your diaphragm, your rib cage is expanding, you're getting air pretty much through your whole like thoracic cavity and not just filling in one spot. So a lot of women that I see, especially that had C-sections, really lack that air filling into where your C-section is at. So thinking about your lower abdominal cavity, and even just like the whole like stomach area, low back area in general, a lot of women miss that because, I don't know, you just avoid it. I'm not really too sure, or you're kind of tense and you protect where you were just cut into. You go into protective mode, and then you just forget how to use it. So sometimes you need to relearn, one, just how to breathe properly and how to really get everything to expand, and not just your chest and your shoulders rising up and down. So with everything that I do, I always do some sort of breathing assessment and adding that into whatever either manual work I'm having people do, or here in the clinic with someone, always adding in some breathing component to it. And then also starting off very gentle stretching exercises. So there are stretches you can start performing like 1 to 2 weeks after a C-section. It's always very gentle. It's really, main thing is just focusing on standing up straight, working on some sort of extension and rotation. Again, getting your body comfortable with moving. I remember from my previous abdominal surgeries, your biggest thing is to stay flexed over. You're kind of in that hunched over mode because you're protecting that scar, protecting that incision where you just got cut into. So main thing is really to get you sitting up tall, standing up tall. Again, gentle extension and rotation, and then eventually working into side body stretches. And again, always pairing that with some breathing and with some very gentle lower abdominal activation, usually after about 3 to 4 weeks after a C-section, adding in some of that lower abdominal strengthening. So if you ever have any questions, I would love to hear from you. You can find us in Chatham, Illinois. If you are around the area, local at all, would love to talk to you if you have any questions. Thank you.